From the frozen edges of the northern tundra to the burning heart of the desert, from rain-soaked jungles to wind-swept plains, humanity learned to live, to endure, and to adapt. Imagine a world where every sunrise brings not comfort, but a challenge to survive. A world where the air you breathe, the water you drink, and the food you find depend entirely on the climate around you. This is the story of early humans, not as conquerors of nature, but as its children, molded by its extremes. They didn't choose where they were born. Some came into life beneath endless skies of ice and snow, where the land slept beneath white silence. Others took their first breath under a burning sun, surrounded by sand that shimmered like fire. Still others awoke in forests thick with mist and sound, where life thrived in chaotic abundance. Each environment shaped them, their tools, their shelters, their hunts, and their beliefs. In the north, life was a constant war against the cold. The sun hung low on the horizon, pale and weak, as if reluctant to rise. Families huddled in shelters of bone and hide, sealed tight against the wind's howl. Every breath turned to frost. Every heartbeat was an act of defiance. Food was scarce, but the people were clever. They followed herds across the tundra, reading tracks in the snow like sacred text. They learned to hunt the giants of the ice, mammoths, bison, and reindeer. From each kill came not only food, but survival itself, meat for the body, fur for warmth, bones for tools. Fires became sacred in these lands. Not just warmth, but life itself. The first flicker of flame in the morning was a ritual, a promise that the tribe would live another day. They passed down stories around that glow, tales of great hunts, of spirits hidden in the aurora, of ancestors who had mastered the frost. Far to the south, the story was entirely different. Here, the air was heavy and sweet with moisture. Forests pulsed with life. Every step revealed movement, insects, birds, unseen predators watching from the green shadows. Water was everywhere, but so was danger. Poisonous plants, disease, and beasts with teeth made for crushing bone. In these steaming jungles, early humans became watchers and listeners. They learned to read the forest the way a leaf trembled, the shift in the sound of birds, the sudden silence that warned of a predator near. They built shelters from wood and broad leaves, high above the damp earth, where snakes and insects roamed. Food was plentiful but unpredictable. They learned which fruits fed life and which brought death. They crafted tools of bone and stone suited for climbing, cutting, and fishing. Fire was harder to keep alive here. Rain extinguished it, humidity dulled its heat. Yet when they succeeded, when they kept the flame burning through the downpour, it was more than light. It was triumph. A victory over a world that seemed determined to drown them. Across the oceans and deserts, life took yet another form. Beneath the blazing sun, where the horizon blurred in waves of heat, early humans faced the harshest of all masters, the desert. Here, every drop of water was sacred, every shadow precious. The wind carved dunes like mountains, erasing footprints and landmarks alike. The people who lived here moved like ghosts, silent, deliberate, patient. They learned the ways of sand and stone. They hunted small creatures that emerged in the cool of night, and followed the migrations of animals that knew where hidden springs lay. They fashioned clothing to protect from the sun, and learned that survival meant constant movement. To stop was to die. They read the stars, not for beauty, but for guidance. The constellations became their maps, their stories, their memories. When storms of sand rose like walls of the earth itself, they took shelter in ancient rock formations, waiting, listening to the roar of a world that tested every breath they took. Meanwhile, in the open grasslands, the savanna's life danced between feast and famine. Herds stretched to the horizon, and with them came opportunity. But predators ruled here too. The early humans learned to watch, to wait, to strike only when the odds favored them. They mastered cooperation. They spoke with gestures, looks, and quiet sounds long before they spoke with words. They shared food, shared shelter, and shared danger. Here, the rhythm of life was set by the seasons. Rain brought abundance, drought brought hunger. And so they moved, following the pulse of nature itself, always adapting, always learning. It was not just the land that shaped them, it was the mind. The endless challenge of adapting to change awakened something deep within. Creativity, foresight, the spark of imagination. In cold, they learned to stitch furs into clothing. In heat, they learned to craft water containers from animal skins. In forests, they learned to carve paths and remember landmarks by sound and scent. Each adaptation was more than survival. It was evolution, not of the body alone, but of thought. As centuries passed, the children of these different worlds began to drift and mingle. The skills of one climate met the wisdom of another. The icy hunters met those from the warm plains. The forest dwellers traded stories with the desert travelers. Cultures intertwined like rivers meeting in a great delta. They shared not only tools, but myths. Stories of the sun and moon, of gods who controlled rain and fire, of spirits that lived in the wind. The harshness of their worlds gave birth to something entirely human, meaning they sought not only to live, but to understand why they lived. For those in the mountains, the air itself felt sacred, thin, sharp, alive. They believed the peaks touched the realm of spirits. They carved stone altars and left offerings of food and bone. In the desert, they prayed to the sun. In the forest, to the rain. In the tundra, to the ancestors whose spirits whispered through the northern lights. Across all these worlds, a single truth echoed. Survival was never guaranteed, but unity increased the odds. When they hunted together, built together, and mourned together, they endured. Generations came and went. Children grew into hunters and gatherers, then into teachers and storytellers. They taught the next generation the secrets of their climate, how to read the wind, where to find water, when to rest, when to move. In the desert, they passed on knowledge of the stars, maps written across the heavens. In the tundra, they learned the ways of ice and migration. In the forest, the language of birds and leaves. In the plains, the art of movement and timing. Through these lessons, humanity began to build something that transcended the immediate need to survive. They built culture, shared memory, shared hope, and even as they adapted to every corner of Earth, the dream of home began to take shape. Shelter became more than a place to hide. It became a place to belong. A place where stories were told, where laughter echoed, where fear found comfort. This was the dawn of identity, the understanding that to live was not enough. To live together, that was the miracle. In every climate, early humans looked at their world and saw themselves reflected in it. The calm of the lake, the fury of the storm, the silence of the snow, all mirrored their own emotions, their own struggles. And so they began to see patterns, seasons that returned, cycles that repeated, life that renewed itself. From the frozen lands to the humid jungles, from the scorching deserts to the fertile plains, the story was the same. The earth gave and the earth took away. Through hardship came resilience. Through adaptation came wisdom. Through unity came survival. The first humans may not have understood the science of their world, but they understood its soul. They learned reverence, not worship born of fear, but of respect. They knew that every drop of water, every tree, every animal carried meaning. That life in all its forms, was connected. That to take without gratitude was to invite misfortune. This awareness, born from living in harmony and conflict with the climates of the earth, became the foundation of what we now call humanity. Every modern comfort, every city, every innovation traces back to those ancient days when our ancestors first learned to endure the wind, the rain, the heat, and the cold. They did not conquer nature. They became part of it. And though thousands of years have passed, the lesson remains unchanged. Survival is not about dominance, but balance. Not about fighting the world, but living within it. So, the next time you feel the sun on your face, or hear rain on your roof, remember them. The first people who turned climate into culture, struggle into strength, and survival into legacy. This was their daily life. And it is still, in some way, ours. If you found their story inspiring, join us on this journey through humanity's origins. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and help us keep exploring the incredible saga of our ancestors, one story at a time.